Hey everybody, it's Robbie.
I'm Danny.
Our video today covers some very sensitive topics.
Yeah, it's about the upcoming 34th anniversary of the Mark Kilroy abduction murder down in Matamoros, Mexico.
Yeah, we think this is a story that needs to be told, especially as spring break approaches, and we're going to jump right into it. You ready?
Let's go.
Let's go. Mark Kilroy was a University of Texas student on spring break in March 1989 when he was tortured and murdered by Adolfo Constanzo's cult in Matamoros, Mexico. After Mark's disappearance, the authorities feared the worst, but they had no idea how bad the worst could be. The night of the disappearance, Matamoros was flooded with 15,000 spring tourists from the U.S. on the city's main tourist street. At around 2 a.m., Mark and his friends were leaving a bar called the London Pub, heading back towards Garcia's restaurant near the border. One of Mark's friends left him briefly to urinate in the park by Garcia's. By the time he returned, Mark had vanished into thin air. Mark was grabbed by cult members who motioned him towards their car. After a brief struggle, he was able to escape, but then recaptured and put into another car. He was then taken to a remote ranch outside the city called Santa Elena Ranch.
It looked so much bigger then.
This is the border crossing into Matamoros, Mexico today. And this is about the spot where Mark Kilroy would have disappeared so many years ago. To the best of my knowledge, the original building had suffered some fire damage and was replaced with this facade.
30 miles from his Brownsville home, Mauricio Rodriguez stared in disbelief at the Santa Elena Ranch, at a one-room shack filled with candles and other reminders of the devil worship that ended the life of 21-year-old Mark Kilroy, one other unnamed U.S. citizen, and 10 Mexicans.
After being taken to this ranch, Mark suffered unimaginable rape and torture. He was ultimately murdered here, and his body was mutilated and buried in a shallow grave. The authorities found his body and several other bodies buried at the ranch about a month later. Most of the cult members involved are either dead or still in jail at this point. Now, this is Santa Elena Ranch now. As you can see, there's not much here. The structures were burned to the ground shortly after the bodies were discovered. I have read that people continued to dig around on the property, trying to find loved ones who they had lost. We're on our way to the grave of Mark Kilroy, the poor guy that was targeted randomly and killed in a Hallow ritual in Mexico in 1989 on spring break. Sad story. We're going to walk to the gravesite. That poor kid, 21 years old, went through a worse nightmare than any of us could imagine or could ever imagine.
Yeah, it's terrible.
All right, here we go. This is a pretty powerful moment.
It is. Got chills just standing here.
literally went through a living hell.
Yeah, he sure did.
For his parents put that on his tombstone.
Man, I have chills standing over here looking at him.
Yes.
Poor guy.
Very sobering.
It is.
Things he went through.
Man, can't
Wait.
imagine all that he went through.
No,
Terrible.
even the cult was, people were in their 20s, they were basically kids themselves.
Yeah. Torturing them to death.
Yeah, it's
Terrible.
unreal. Unreal. Makes it seem so much more real than just a story that you're reading.
Yeah, to see it in person.
And his family and friends, they want people to remember him and his story. So hopefully, in some way, it won't happen to other people, which
Yeah.
it can happen to anyone. It was random for him and
Tragic.
became his reality, which is awful. They couldn't even imagine.
Mm-mm. All that he went through.
Yeah, for nothing.
Yeah. Alone out there by himself and
Wrong place at the wrong time.
man,
Around some delusional, sick people.
man.
Mark Kilroy spent 12 hours on the ranch before dying. Authorities paraded 4 suspects who admit to cult involvement. 2 who say they helped abduct Mark Kilroy on March 14th as he celebrated spring break in Matamora. 1 bared his shoulder to reveal 6 ceremonial marks, 1 for each person he said he had killed.
Think about it. Here I am, a father. I have to think of my son. He was running, trying to get away. My son was begging for his life. Think about that. Do you want that to happen to your children? Do you want that to be you? That's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for you.